Welcome to the Exposer. So as you guys saw around the ending of episode 3, we'll play the video of PT talking about the fact that they've been on newspapers before. This is true, and quite frankly, because at this moment in time, even though they did it just for public approval, it was their way for the government to appreciate them, but also for people to be drawn into the so-called church. This is why in this episode we'll be talking to you specifically about Spac Nation and their use of social media. We know social media is a fast, free, effective way to promote your business. And there are methods to the social media madness, not just in posting content people want to talk about, but in also building a following. An interesting fact here is, PT has once mentioned that he has apparently read over 600 books in his lifetime. And so with this input, plus many of the young pastors and loyal congregants, they've been able to help for the last 2 years, turn Spac Nation from a standard church, once called Spac Ministries, into a social media eye-grabbing organisation, which apparently invests in the heart of youth living in London mainly, but not all of African descent. This newspaper is dated back in 2017 and it is from the Financial Times, acknowledging the work that Spac is doing by allegedly being a grassroots organisation, pumping huge sums of cash into the organisation and into people. This was greatly celebrated at the time of its release. But what Financial Times are failing to release is the harm that is actually being done by Spac. It is only a scheme to look good on the outside, but in actual fact, they are rotten on the inside. I would agree that it is a business though, but an appalling one. Social media for PT has been a very important tool to be played here, because Spac Nation, and also consistently announced by PT himself, are forever in a season of seed and souls, which quite evidently equals more seed, aka more money anyways. So that's how they can attract everyone on a primary basis, before necessarily going out and luring them in. They have a member in Spac Nation, but there could be some others, but there's this one girl in particular who goes by the name of Nadli, a girl of Nigerian background who lived in America all her life, but we happen to have come across Spac Nation via Twitter, and happened to be hooked from there. She's been to London a few times to visit and even preach. I saw this with my own eyes. A kind-hearted girl, but it upsets me to see that she doesn't see the deceit and fraud that is happening to the extent that she would defend them on Twitter. There's been plans to ordain her as a minister, even though people hardly even know her. Furthermore, allegedly she's given $1,000 to Spac too. Allegedly, PT usually interacts with her via WhatsApp, Periscope, as she comes on when he would go live. What Spac Nation would do best is appeal to the young generation, as it's a church that thrives off having teenagers and young adolescents attend. This is called speaking to your market. When it comes to social media marketing, one of the goals is to ensure that your market is informed about things related to your business, right? This is why PT will constantly preach on Sunday about our parents not able to do exploits in the way that we can, and how we can do much more as we come together as an army. There will be constant rallies against knife crimes, and these things will consistently be recorded through loyal members holding selfie sticks or phones to record videos and to post on social media. On a Sunday morning, you would get a pastor who's been around PT for many years, who also has a fellowship, who would be on stage with a young lady together. They would get the congregation riled up and asked to get phones out to do certain hashtags or retweets, and won't stop until the target has been reached. Or they will do selfies for Twitter every other Sunday using specialized Snapchat filter that someone would create for Spac Nation. That same evening, PT would order everyone to be on Periscope at 10 PM, and leaders would then pass on these instructions. It would be to slander and to ask for more retweets, which are shares. PT will specifically ask for certain videos or pictures which he feels would create the most buzz. Even on their official Twitter account, Spac would post pictures of the accolades, seizing dangerous weapons and then passing it on for police to get hold of. All of this for the glory of men. It's one thing to post something on social media and also to have seized it from the person with an intent to use it for firm, but to constantly bombard us with these visuals is attention seeking. Another thing Spac Nation does well is boast about its numbers that apparently are getting saved on social media.
Part of this was what was surrendered in the church. These were surrendered. One was taken off. So imagine someone carrying this on the street, and I don't know how safe that environment is. And of course the reason for this is this money, drugs and all that. So what we do from here is he takes it to the police, but this is just part of what we're dealing with in our community, and we hope that more of this will be surrendered so that we can have a safe community. This is not good in the hand of a guy on the street. This is terrible, bro. And I've asked the question, where do they sell this? Who sells it? How do they get this in a person's pocket? I can understand this one. Okay, you took this from wherever, but this generation will belong to now. But God is going to save the generation. So
I honestly believed I thought I was going to die before the age of 22. Or I was going to go to jail for life before the age of 22. So sitting here right now and seeing how far I've come is amazing. And I will never trade that for anything. Spac Nation has been able to help myself and many young people. This year alone, we collected over 63 knives in Spac Nation. You know, if that knife was used for a young person to die, that would have cost the country over 200 million pounds. You know, so we've been able to turn so many lives around. So again, it's been a long journey, but it's definitely worth it.
Showing numbers woes people. Psychologically, we start to think that the organization displaying these numbers have something valuable in contrast to the others, and in this scenario, other churches. PT would mock churches that don't do altar calls or those only capable of bringing 1 or 2 people up. They have social media ministers at this church. We acknowledge that one has left, and we also give glory when people leave because we realize that it's not easy detaching yourself from something like that, but it's got to be done. However, there's other social media ministers there still. Just goes to show you just how seriously Spac Nation take this sector of the church life.
You are trending on Twitter without your effort. Now that's beautiful. You've reached this stage. And as you know, Spac Nation, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a secret tonight. About this time last year, we sold our first seed into the media. Before then, there was no single media coverage, We paid for the first one with Financial Times. I knew that once and a seed time harvest works, it doesn't have to be big seed, huge one. And at the time, it was meaningless. But when I tell you about seed, that now you would understand. Then what happened afterwards? Now, we have reaped coverage that money cannot buy. Do you understand that? We had reaped back an harvest of coverage that money could not buy. But what we did in time was to put down the one money could buy, and we bought it. But it was a seed into that world. It's saying that you will take over that world. I had a 45k Patek Philippe then, and I sold that plus other money into that and opened a door. You understand? Sewing is amazing. I'm telling you. The moment that was true in November, that was November, right? We're gonna celebrate 1 year of that. Because that's the seed. So I will never forget that. I won't forget that because that is the seed that opened the other doors. Time flies, right? And time flies because a lot of things have happened after that even makes that irrelevant. That's the thing with the seed. Usually the harvest will be bigger. I don't know, just one Saturday, you had over 6 or 7 newspaper coverage. Over 6 on one Saturday, more than 6 or 7, yeah. So what newspaper were up dealers in today? I'm not sure.
Yeah, because someone rang me and said, I saw you in the paper.
Yeah, you were in the paper, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
What was it? I didn't see.
I think it's Evening Standard, the last one, but we didn't know it had a paper edition.
Oh, really?
So we thought it was just internet. But you were there. In fact, I wanted to post it, say, look at author here, Evening Standard. The guy was in Evening Standard and he didn't even know it. People are killing and fighting and lying to be on those pages. How did you get there? seed. That's why I wanted to say in advanced countries, like the one we're in, they take waste, right? And they convert it either to energy or to something useful. Now, God will use wastes in order to get his message out. The people editing videos and on social media, wastes. But this waste, because we operate from an advanced country, these wastes will be useful for the world to see the weight of what God is doing in you. Now, the people, I want you to listen to me, please. The people that, so he has grabbed some wastes there, and he refused to let them waste, but they already waste, but he would turn them to energy. Do you understand that? Now, then someone say, well, what if some people believe them or agree with them? Let me tell you, please listen to this. And this is all I'm going to tell you, and then going to where I'm headed. It does not use waste to evangelize to wastes. Waste will produce energy or light to the advanced. Do you understand that? So in all abuse that they think they're abusing, what would happen is some people will be benefiting from that. The light will be shining on some people, and they say, wait a minute, this goes on somewhere. What's going on? Why is this nation trending more than the baby of the king or queen or Elizabeth, who's ever baby? Why is this trending above that? Now, it is exactly, it's renewable energy, but it's not reaching out to the fellow wastes. Don't get these things misconstrued. That's why this is not about anger with social media. They are most needed. You need them. Don't fight them. You need those. They are wastes. But listen, the waste man will come and pack wastes, right? What is the aspect of the service where money is thrown? That's the most useless part of the service, but it's needed. I want you to listen to God's wisdom tonight. They've got to play their part as his minister. So those part is the part that will keep you burning all through the week. If people are talking, the last person to worry about is me. You'll just be worrying yourself or to get angry for. I honestly, I'm living a great life because of growth. But God forbid that waste men don't come anymore. We'll become irrelevant. We'll become nothing. November is going to shift us to another realm of greatness. And God says that you have no excuse because the waste men are doing their jobs. I repeat to you today, these waste men and women are God's servants. Even though waste will go to the place of waste eventually, but God is using them. And I'm saying this with all my heart. Otherwise, nobody will know of you. Now, we will not be afraid to speak what we have to speak. Waste men must come. They must take the waste part of the things that we do. It is their job. God has given this to them, and they must do it. Wherever they are, in the name of Jesus, they must come and take the waste and recycle it. Not who we call the waste men, the social media people, the naysayers. So now,
so here you have a guy who's bragging about the newspapers writing about them and for them trending on social media. But then when the news is negative, he is the same person that pretends that he doesn't like social media and he's fully against it. And he's naming out everyone who's speaking out and exposing them to be waste. This is the word he used throughout the video, they are waste. But he also mentions that these people who he claims are waste are very important because they're the ones that will let his organization remain relevant, because they'll publish out things who may be interesting to the public. But at this particular moment, it didn't really affect the church so much. But now, because the truth is out and everybody knows that they are not a church that helps young people but exploits them, and he knows because the truth is being exposed, he needs to find ways to make his members stay away from social media. So what he would do is he would create a story like he did. He mentioned he gave a seed, and that seed is what allowed Spac Nation to be known today. So this sounds powerful to someone that is brainwashed, when in actual fact what he just said there was nothing. It was just pure nonsense. So now his members are wild and they can't believe that he anticipated this moment was going to happen. That's how they see it, instead of seeing the truth is now being published, you know. But that's what he's doing, and he has a whole social media team like I mentioned, and he's a guy who encourages his members every Sunday to snap and take pictures and put it on Twitter with hashtags. So he's a hypocrite, because whenever his church is trending for the right reasons, he loves it. But whenever it's for the wrong reasons, he pretends that he doesn't like social media and decides to insult anyone that's publishing the truth about his organization.
See people trooping in, following me on Twitter. What are you guys doing this time? Use it to win, so slip into people's DMs and those who have potentials though. But recognize the Lord will give you discerning heart to know waste men. Worship is increasing like crazy. Every second. You guys don't know what you're doing. I'm getting BF followership. BF followership, you know. Every second. This is so beautiful.
Look at the excitement on his face of people following him on Twitter. So this is a guy who hates social media, and all of a sudden he's there. Followership is getting bare people. That's the word he was using. Followership. So he's excited because now followers are following him on Twitter. But then he doesn't want the same followers to criticize the wrongs that's going on in his organization. This is the hypocrite that PT is. 1 minute he's upset, he's destroying everyone that's talking about him, and he's anti-social media, but then he's quick to check on his phone that his Twitter followers are going up. Social media is keeping this man PT on his toes. He needs to apologize for all the wrong thing that he's done and pay back his debtors. He started it by pushing for a takeover of social media, and now that things are not turning out well for him and the odds are no longer in their favor, he can't take it. So let's keep up the good work, guys. This information, I repeat, has not been fabricated by ourselves, but is partly information he has said, and I've heard it with my own 2 ears. There's indeed a disconnect or holes in this story that he will tell us about his past, meaning we all know what he would tell us in service and whenever we would go to his house. Like I've said before, throughout the next couple of episodes, we shall attempt to pin it all together in order for you guys to really understand who PT is and why he is where he's at in his life. So stay locked for episode 5, Spac Nation Must Fall.